Hey, JK here. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me. For day 19, we're heading back to Chicago, opposite side of the city, to talk about the NL Central second place team, Chicago Cubs, who had an 83-79 record and a positive 96 run differential. This team is full of a bunch of guys who you feel like you've heard their names over and over the years, and they either haven't produced, or they produced previously, or they weren't producing and finally got to the Cubs and did produce. So, a lot of production and not a lot of production all at the same time. There were a lot of people who led in different categories, so let's go ahead and get to it. Mr. Nico Hoerner led in at-bats, runs, hits, and stolen bases, where Ian Happ led in doubles, walks, and on-base percentage. Seiya Suzuki led the team in triples, while Chris Morel was tied with the team lead in home runs with Cody Bellinger, who also led the team in RBIs, total bases, average, slugging, and on-base plus slugging, while Dansby Swanson led the team in strikeouts. Not great. Last time you really heard about Dansby Swanson, he was going to Chicago after a breakup with the Braves, who originally did not have him, but sent Shelby Miller to Arizona for him. And that was a big old hoopla back in the early teens, which is crazy to think that it's been that long since Dansby Swanson came into the league. In any case, I do want to talk about Mr. Cody Bellinger, who has also been in the league for more than several years, and I really can't believe that because he still looks young, even though most of the time he is on Cloud 9 or on the 9th planet out in the solar system. I know there aren't really 9 planets anymore because Pluto and all that good stuff, but this isn't a science lesson. This is just supposed to be funny. In any case, Mr. Cody Bellinger had a career year in 2023. He did bat over 300. I think it was like 307 to be exact. He had 26 home runs, 20 stolen bases, and only struck out 87 times in over 540 at-bats. That's great. These career year numbers include stolen bases improving by 25%. I know it's only like 4 or 5 stolen bases, but hey, 25% sounds a whole heck of a lot better. Also, the 87 strikeouts were the lowest since 2020, but that season doesn't count. The home runs were the most he's hit since 2019, before he turned into his Dodger days, laid back, dazed and confused type of guy, hitting just above 200, which is what the Cubs are potentially risking Bellinger turning back into, instead of like the ball of the dance, turn to like, the pumpkin. And there is a chance. However, if the Cubs get half of what they got this year, then they definitely made a good choice by re-signing him. Chris Morel also improved his stock from 2022 to 2023 and has earned himself the third base position there in Chicago. The thing he's going to have to work on is his strikeouts. He needs to cut those down, get those walks up, and those home runs are going to look even better. Someone else I do feel bad about, with Morel doing so well, with Cody Bellinger doing so well, with a few of these other guys who are just entrenched in their spots or excelling in any way, shape, or form, Patrick Wisdom. He's had 3 straight years of 20-plus home runs, and what's he got to show for it? Lots of strikeouts and low batting average. That's it. He struck out 111, 183, 153 times, respectively, in the last 3 years, and batted somewhere below 220 every year. In some cases, below 200 in general. That's not good. If he wants to get back on the field, if he wants another chance somewhere else, he's got to lay off some of those bad pitches and just raise his batting average. 230 would be good, okay? Eugenio Suarez lives around 230, and this man just got paid going to Arizona. So, come on, Patrick. Let's do better, baby. So, I don't think we need to talk about some of these other guys. Nico Hoerner, he's good. Swanson, he definitely needs to work on his strikeouts. Ian Happ, household name, feel like he's been there forever and ever, but very consistent. So, some of these guys, we don't need to talk much about them. You know they're good. You know they're going to be drafted. You know they're going to be somewhat consistent. Let's move to the pitching. This was dominated pretty much by Justin Steele. Let's be honest. Justin Steele, main guy in that rotation, and he absolutely should be. He's done pretty great. Led the team in games started, quality starts, wins, innings pitched, strikeouts, ERA, and WHIP. Now we get to the holds. Mark Leiter Jr. You might have heard of his dad, Al Leiter. Yeah, Al was pretty good. Unfortunately, did play for the Mets, the other New York team. In any case, the holds went to Adbert Alzolay. I love saying that first name, Adbert Alzolay. Reminds me of like Q*bert, that arcade game from back in the 80s. Not that I played it. I'm not that old. But in any case, that's what that name reminds me of. So this team has a shaky bullpen. But before we even get to that, let's talk about the rotation. because the rotation is in trouble. One of my favorite players, as you can see, let me make sure I'm looking in the right place. I like Jameson Taillon. He's one of my favorite players. You see the JMO shirt over here. Huge Jameson Taillon fan. So I really hate the fact that he did so poorly, really, in Chicago and New York, not Chicago. Really hate that he did so poorly in New York, and now he's in Chicago and he's having back issues, and he may very well be out for a while. So that's frustrating for me, not because I would have him on any of my fantasy teams, but just because he's one of my favorite players. I like watching him play. But in any case, some of the other guys in that rotation that have chances to step up include Javier Assad. Let me get to my notes. Javier Assad was a guy that I had at different points in time last year, and this guy wasn't sexy. But I tell you one thing, when he came in as like a secondary starter, I could absolutely depend on him to go several innings, potentially pick up the win for me. He started 10 games. He had 5 wins. He had a respectable ERA. I mean, it wasn't great. But hey, he played a total of 32 games. So 10 starts, 5 wins, 32 total games played. A lot of those being in relief, that secondary pitcher, starter position. So he might be the next guy in the rotation, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, Chicago, they're kind of in a pickle right now. Got rid of Stroman, which came to the Yankees. I don't know how I feel about him not wanting to start opening day, but whatever. He marches to the beat of his own drum. They are also going to have Mr. Kyle Hendricks. This is the unsexiest pitcher, the least flashy guy, but he was absolutely the quietest, consistent pitcher from 14 to 2020. Now, after that, ERA has been 4+. I think last year it was 3.74. Still wasn't great. His ER or his WHIP has been up 1.2, 1.3. He's never been a strikeout guy, but he is consistently going to keep you in games. May not be, quality start every single time, but he's good for some quality starts. Obviously not pitching as long into games as he was, but Kyle Hendricks used to be just the least exciting guy to watch. But as someone going against the Cubs, if the Yankees were going against the Cubs, or even in fantasy, I'd be he's going to do well for them. He's not going to lose them the game. But in any case, on the decline last 3 years. Hopefully he'll be able to pick it up for the Cubs rotation, and since they're going to be potentially losing Taillon for a period of time. Now let's get to the bullpen. Shaky. Very shaky. They tried to do everything they could to not give Adbert Alzolay the closer position. They had Julian Merryweather, who might very well be one of the best guys in that bullpen, but cannot handle the closing duties. They tried to give it to Leiter. Could not handle the closing duties. Several other guys as well, but Adbert came through. He ended up having 22 total saves. Leiter had 17, 18 holds, something like that, maybe more. In any case, Merryweather had the most strikeouts. He had 98 strikeouts in 72 innings. That's pretty good. Now, he's going to be the holds guy. If this rotation, so essentially, if Justin Steele can get him to the 6th or 7th inning, Merryweather can come in, and then Adbert Alzolay will be the closer. So that right there will give you your hold, your save, potentially your wins, some strikeouts, obviously. I don't know about some of the rest of the guys. Bullpen, not exactly the sexiest. However, they did try to do a little bit with the pitching rotation. Shota Imanaga, he came over, was overshadowed, obviously, by Jung-Ho Lee for the Giants, and Ohtani moving from one California team to another. And then Yoshi also going to the Dodgers. So he was overshadowed by those other foreign players. But Imanaga struck out 9 recently against the Athletics. Look, it doesn't matter what team it's against. I mean, if it were against the Red Sox or the Braves, yeah, that would mean much more. But non-strikeouts are non-strikeouts. It's pretty good, man. They also added some depth in the outfield with David Peralta. I love David Peralta. I've liked him since he was with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and that's been a while. He very consistent, but not going to blow you away, obviously, with age anymore. And then Michael Busch. Michael Busch was a recent transaction, was wasting away in the organization just because they didn't have, or they had too many mouths to feed, so Bush couldn't get up there. So finally come over, and he's going to be in your starting lineup come opening day, or at least that's the goal for the Cubs. So it's something to look forward to. Now some of the guys they're missing, Jeimer Candelario, that guy could play first. He could play third. He could play a little bit of second. But again, we just recently talked about him now with another team, wasting away initially in Detroit, was with the Cubs, and now with another team. So he definitely showed why he is a good pick for the Reds, showed why he was a good pickup for the Cubs. They're definitely going to miss him. And then, of course, Marcus Stroman, they're going to miss him. As a Yankees fan, I hope he does well. I've never really been a big Stroman fan, but we'll see how he does. I think the Cubs are really going to miss him just strictly because Taillon going down and Hendricks getting up in age, and really Steele is the main guy to count on. But we'll see how the rest of this season goes for them. And well, that's going to do it for the Cubs. Their offense definitely has some bats that you want to get in your lineups. Their pitching has a few spots here and there, mainly the bullpen, but that's also not exactly the sexiest. Justin Steele is the main guy you're going to want in that. You might want to give Imanaga a shot. We'll see how he goes. Maybe will be on a pitch restriction just because of the differences in timing and days off over there. But in any case, bats, definitely some options. Pitching, some options, not as many. I think the Cubs are going to compete again this year. I don't think they're going to be able to overtake the Brewers. However, the Brewers are going to be without their top two pitchers. We're going to get to them tomorrow, though, so hold tight. But in any case, Cubs will compete. I don't think they're going to win the Central, but they will at least put up a good fight. So that means tomorrow we will be talking to the team first in the NL Central, the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm super excited for it, as that will be day 20, and then we will only have 10 days left. And that means we're even closer to opening day. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that you're just as excited as I am. And obviously, I'm looking forward to it because I have fantasy drafts this weekend. So hopefully there are going to be even more videos coming out on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, as I do have drafts on those days. So wish me luck. I have keepers and I have a few trades that have happened. I'm super excited about some trades. In any case, before we even get to that, that's a whole totally another video. We're going to see you tomorrow. This is JK, and I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me.